Hi, I'm Rick Welke. I'm with the Board of Trustees here at Unity Spiritual Life Center. And for our March 22nd lesson, we are going to have a delight, a treat for you from one of our own. Leslie Smyer is going to give a lesson today. And here she is.
Thank you, Rick. Okay. Good morning. I'm Leslie Smyer, and I've attended Unity Spiritual Life Center for approximately 20 years. I'd like to talk to you today about meditation, and I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Joe Dispenza. Do you meditate? Do you have trouble finding the time? Do you question the benefits of meditation? Can you sit still for 5 minutes? Can you still your thoughts for even a minute? Dr. Joe, along with many others, has scientifically researched the benefits of meditation to ourselves, our families, and to the world. And he asked the question, do you love yourself enough to do this work? I was introduced to Dr. Joe from a speaker we had, Dr. Kneller, last year. I bought one of Dr. Joe's books, Becoming Supernatural, watched numerous of his YouTube interviews and presentations, and purchased 3 of his CDs. He also does workshops around the world, live streaming, and I plan to attend one of those workshops and a live streaming one of these times. And all the material I'm going to present today comes from these sources. Now I'd like to show you a 10-minute video from YouTube that he did back in, I believe it was 2012. It's just an introduction to him. It's not the subject of my talk, but it's just to give you an idea of who he is. And this is called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
Good evening. I want you to turn to the person next to you. I want you to look them in the eye and introduce yourself as a genius. Let's begin. Now, geniuses, so happy to be with you this evening. I have a few questions for you before we begin. How many people in this audience actually believe in the idea that the way you think has some effect on your life? That your thoughts create your life? You believe that, yes? So how many people here actually woke up this morning and consciously created a future? You know, the biggest reason why people don't do it is because you don't really believe it's true. You see, if you knew on a gut level that it was absolutely true, would you ever miss a day? Come on. And would you ever let any thought slip by your awareness that you didn't want to experience? So your brain, according to neuroscience, is organized to reflect everything you know in your life. Your brain is a record of your environment. It's a record, an artifact of your past. So if you believe this, then does your environment control your thinking, or does your thinking control your environment? So if you wake up in the morning and you get out of bed on the same exact side as you did the day before, you shut the alarm clock off with the same finger, you slip into your favorite slippers, you shuffle into the bathroom and you use the toilet like you always do, then you walk over to the mirror and you look at yourself to remember who you are, then you get into the shower and you wash yourself in the same routine way, then you groom yourself to look like everybody expects you to look, then you go downstairs and you drink coffee out of your favorite mug. Then you drive to work the same way as you did the day before. You see the same people that push the same emotional buttons. You do the exact thing that you know how to do and you memorize and can do so well that you're an expert at. Then you hurry up and rush home so you can hurry up and check your emails, so you can hurry up and go to bed, so you can hurry up and do it all over again. Now, here's my question. Did your brain change at all that day? We could say that you were thinking the same thoughts, performing the same actions, that create the same experiences, that produce the same emotions, but secretly expecting something to change in your life. Would you agree? So then, as the environment turns on different circuits in your brain, you begin to think equal to your environment. As you see the same people and go to the same places and do the same things at the same time, it's the external environment that's turning on different circuits in your brain, causing you to think equal to everything that you know. And as long as you think equal to everything that's familiar and known to you, what do you keep creating more of? Same life. Now, the quantum law is still applying to you. You're just thinking equal to everything that you know, and you keep creating more of the same. To change, to truly change, is to think greater than your environment. And every great person in history knew this. Whether it was William Wallace or Mahatma Gandhi or Martin Luther King or Queen Elizabeth I or Joan of Arc, they all had a vision. They all had an idea. Couldn't see it, couldn't smell it, couldn't taste it, couldn't feel it, but it was alive in their mind. It was so alive in their mind that they began to live as if that reality was actually happening now. So can you believe in a future that you can't see or experience with your senses yet, but you've thought about enough times in your mind that your brain is literally changed to look like the event has already happened? Neuroscience says it's absolutely possible. Now, your personality creates your personal reality. That's it. It's that simple. And your personality is made up of how you think, how you act, and how you feel. So the present personality who's sitting here today, you, has created the present personal reality called your life. Would you agree? Would you also agree then, if you wanted to create a new personal reality, that on a fundamental level you would have to change the thoughts that you are thinking, the behaviors and habits that you're demonstrating, and the emotions that you've memorized that's become part of your identity? And most people try to create a new personal reality as the same personality, and it never works. We have to become somebody else. So then, as you keep thinking the same thoughts, performing the same actions, and living by the same experiences that produce the same emotions, there's a principle in neuroscience that says nerve cells that fire together wire together. And if you keep repeating the same states of mind and body over and over again, your brain begins to fire in the same sequences, in the same patterns, and same combinations. And whenever you make your brain work in a certain way, that's called mind. Mind is the brain in action. So as you remind yourself every day who you think you are, you're causing your brain to fire in the exact same ways. And as they fire and wire in the same patterns over time, the brain moves into a very finite signature, and that's called your personality. Now, that box in your brain isn't literally a box, but it's the most commonly wired, neurologically fired programs that run redundantly because we keep doing the same things over and over again. To change your mind, then, is to make the brain work in new sequences and new patterns and new combinations, to begin to make the brain work differently. And the one ingredient that allows us to do that is knowledge or information. Because every time you learn something new, you make a new connection in your brain. That's what learning is. Learning is forging new connections. Remembering is maintaining or sustaining those connections. So now, every time you have a thought, you make a chemical. And if you have a great thought, or an unlimited thought, or a joyful thought, you turn on a set of circuits in your brain that fires in a very specific sequence, pattern, and combination, that produces a level of mind, that turns on another part of the brain that makes a chemical for you to begin to feel exactly the way you were just thinking, great or unlimited or joyful. Now, if you have a negative thought or an unhappy thought or a self-depreciating thought, you turn on a different set of circuits and a different combination, a different sequence, and a different pattern that produces a different level of mind. And the brain then begins to make a different batch of chemicals that signals the body for you to begin to feel exactly the way you were just thinking, negative or unhappy or unworthy. So the moment you begin to feel the way you think, because the brain is in constant communication with your body, you begin to think the way you feel, which makes more chemicals for you to feel the way you think, and then you think the way you feel, and then you feel the way you think, and then you think the way you feel. And some people do this for 20 or 30 or 40 years. Now, the redundancy of that cycle over time creates what I call a state of being. And a state of being is when your mind and body are working together, or your thoughts and feelings are aligned to a concept. So thoughts are the language of the brain, and feelings are the language of the body. And as people get caught in this cycle of thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking, over time, they condition their body to memorize that emotion as well as the conscious mind. And whenever the body knows as well as the mind, that's called a habit. A habit is when your body is the mind. Now, 95% of who you are by the time you're 35 years old is a set of memorized behaviors, set of emotional reactions, beliefs, perceptions, attitudes that run just like a computer program. So 5% of your conscious mind begins to work against 95% of what you've memorized. So the person wants to think positively, but they're feeling negatively. They want to create their dream board, and put up their future life, but they feel unworthy. That's mind and body in opposition. We have to recondition the body to a new mind. So how many people here know someone who's memorized suffering? Doesn't have to be you, it could be anybody. And you say to that person, hey, did you read the book I gave you? What do they say? No. Did you see the DVD I gave you? Oh, no. Hey, listen, we're going to go out to dinner, we're going to go see some stand-up comedy, and go for a walk along the water. You want to come? No. What are they saying? I'm insisting on this neurochemical order that no person, no thing, no experience can move us from it. And we have these three brains to allow us to move into a new state of being. And the quantum field, universal mind, whatever you want to call it, responds to who you're being. Not what you're thinking, not what you're feeling, but the combination of how you're thinking and how you're feeling, called a state of being. Now, most people wait for what? Crisis or trauma or disease or loss or diagnosis to really want to change. They wait to the point where the ego is brought to such a low level that they cannot go on business as usual any longer. That's when we begin to look at how we're thinking or what we believe or how we act or our attitude or what emotions we're living by. And my message is, why wait? We can learn and change in a state of pain and suffering, which tends to be the human model, or we can learn and change in a state of joy and inspiration. Now, you want to learn the hardest part about all of this? You ready? The hardest part of all of this, the hardest part of all of this is making the time to do it. That's it. That's it. Making time for your precious self.
Are we ready for me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, breaking the habit of being yourself is not exactly what I'm going to talk about. I'm talking more about meditation and the different methods, the different parts of meditation that go into one of the meditations that Dr. Joe does, and the one that I'm going to talk about mostly is the one blessing the energy centers. It kind of takes off from this video. So here we go. Dr. Joe wants us to know that we already have all the anatomy, biology, physiology, and chemistry that we need to heal ourselves, change our lives, and have mystical experiences within us, just waiting to be awakened. He calls this becoming supernatural. He's been a doctor, a neuroscientist, a researcher, lecturer, and author for over 20 years, and has extensively studied our brains on meditation. He has created several meditations and shares them in the books he has written and the CDs he has created. They employ similar steps, which we will discuss throughout this talk. In addition, he has studied the effects of HRV, heart rate variability, as taught by the HeartMath group. He finds that the effects of opening our hearts and maintaining elevated emotions, such as joy, gratitude, inspiration, kindness, and appreciation, as well as love, cause our hearts to beat in a coherent fashion with order, rhythm, and balance. He concludes from his studies that it takes a clear intention, which you get with brain coherence, and an elevated emotion, heart coherence, to change a person's biology and or reality. Thus, if you want to change your life, become more than what you are right now, and you believe in a better future, and you imagine that future with all of your heart, be sure to fully activate your head and your heart. Do this repeatedly, make it a skill, meditate. The quantum field is another part of the equation we need to be aware of and access in order to awaken the healing creative power within us. Dr. Joe describes the quantum field as a fifth dimension, an invisible field of energy and information that exists beyond the three dimensions we live in. It is the realm of infinite possibility, a field of intelligence or consciousness that exists beyond space and time. It cannot be perceived by our senses. It governs all the laws of nature. Scientists are discovering more about the quantum field all the time. Dr. Joe describes it as a self-organizing intelligence that is energy. It observes all of the universe and galaxies into order. He describes this field as absolute blackness. He wants us to know this because during our meditation, when we reach this field in the present moment, there is nothing there, just a black void. The only way to exist there is as an awareness. You experience this realm as an awareness. No senses are present. Consciousness is awareness. Awareness is paying attention and noticing. Once you enter this unified field and you pay attention to the energy of this field, your consciousness is connecting to greater levels of frequency and information. Although this field is vast and black, it is not empty. It's filled with waves of energy that are available to us for creation. The quantum field is the state in which all possibility exists. How do we access this quantum field during meditation? I find this to be a progressive process and it takes time. We start with a clear intention of what we want, whether it be a new job, a better life, or a healing. Dr. Joe has the method for helping you to get clear on your intentions. Then we assume the normal meditation posture, be it in a chair or lying down or cross-legged on the floor. There's a breathing exercise I want to share with you after this talk. It moves energy from our lower energy centers to our higher energy centers for us to use there. This exercise helps you to enhance your meditation experience and your focus. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. We then connect to our autonomic nervous system, which is the automatic regulating system of our bodies. It works and keeps us healthy without any conscious thinking on our part. For example, it regulates the release of gastric juices for digestion, increases the heart rate when we exercise. It releases insulin for the utilization of carbohydrates and regulates all of our hormones, plus many other things. There are 7 major energy centers located in our bodies that run alongside the spinal column from our sacrum to the top of our brains. These centers are webs of nerve tissue called nerve plexuses, where the nerves from different areas of the body come together. They communicate with our bodies, our brains, and with each other. For example, the heart center has a plexus of nerves that come from the heart, the lungs, and the thymus gland, which is our major gland for regulating the immune system. Each center has its own plexuses and its own organs and glands which it governs. The autonomic nervous system regulates our bodies and maintains our healthy function. Energy sometimes gets stuck in various parts of our bodies for various reasons and eventually can cause disease or malfunction. Keeping these centers open and functioning keeps us healthy and moving. If we can access these centers when they are diseased and make them whole again, we can heal our bodies. Now we're ready to meditate. During the meditation, we focus energy first on the energy centers themselves, just being aware of them. We start with one at a time. Next, we move our attention and become aware of the space around this center, then the space around the outside of our bodies, and the space around our environment, and finally away from this physical plane to the quantum field. Here we become pure awareness, no one, no time, no thing, no body, just awareness. We dwell in this awareness as we can, picking up information and higher energy to take back to our energy center. Then we evoke a high energy emotion such as gratitude. We allow our minds and bodies to really feel this emotion. When ready, we bring back our energies to our energy center, this higher level of energy, and bless the energy center with it. When done blessing the center, we release this energy to the universe and move our attention up to the next energy center and repeat this process, coming and going to the quantum field, bringing back to the center's blessings of high energy frequencies of gratitude or joy. After finishing with the energy centers, we end with blessing our bodies, blessing our lives, our souls, our futures, and our pasts. We bless the intelligence within us for giving us life, and finally bless our new life before it's made manifest. He suggests you lie down and rest for 15 minutes or so to allow the body to receive these blessings and distribute the new information you have given it. This is the really fast description of the meditation. The CDs are much clearer and much easier to follow, but I wanted to give you kind of an idea of what you're doing. So I've asked this without it taking a half an hour, which is how long this particular meditation takes. The breathing exercise that Dr. Joe recommends doing prior to meditation goes like this. There are two parts, and there is some practice in coordinating to get them to work together. First, envision a tube running parallel to your spinal column that encases the energy centers. It runs from the base of your spine to the top of your head. Take a deep breath and imagine that breath flowing through this tube from your perineum, through the lower and upper abdomen, through the center of your chest, your throat, your brain, and up to the top of your head. Hold your breath at the top of your head for 5 to 10 seconds, keeping your attention on the top of your head. Release the breath and relax. The second part involves contracting your perineal muscles, pulling them in tight, and then your lower abdominal muscles, and finally your upper abdominal muscles. Pull them all in tightly. You'll feel yourself start to sit up straighter. I just stood up straighter. You are massaging your lower energy centers and moving their energy upwards to the higher energy centers. Now you have to combine the two. As you contract the perineal muscles, imagine your breath again starting at the base of your tube, moving upwards for the first energy center. As you contract the lower abdominal muscles, imagine your breath traveling through a second energy center. With the upper abdominal muscles contracted, imagine the breath moving through the third energy center. Keep these muscles contracted as you continue to move your breath through the heart center, the throat center, the 6th and 7th centers in your brain, and again up to the top of your head. Hold your breath here again, keeping your attention on the top of your head. Release the breath and relax. Repeat this exercise at least twice, more if you can. You are liberating energy that is locked in your lower centers and moving it to your higher centers where you can use it in healing your body or creating something new. I sometimes just do this as meditation. And actually, kind of makes me feel better during the day. And I have, it just kind of centers me. So anyway, this practice takes some time and effort to coordinate it. But it can be done because I can do it. There are lots of ways to meditate. Some are longer, some are shorter. Dr. Joe's are different than any I've ever done before. I enjoy the ones I do. I feel good when I'm done. There's much more to learn. I would someday like to attend one of his 5-day workshops or maybe a weekend workshop to start. I would also like to view more of his videos and attend a live streaming event. His books are readily available and I plan to read more of them. I actually bought the one I have at Inklings. It was right on the shelf. I was totally surprised. I keep referring back to the one I have. A book study would be interesting and a group meditation perhaps. I will end with a quote. Do you love yourself enough to do this work? Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you, Leslie, and that was really inspiring. And I just wanted to mention to the viewing audience that it is our intention to have a new lesson each week throughout the 6-week period. And we'll expect to have them available to you by each Sunday. This is the one for March 22nd. Thank you very much.